Aston Villa 3, Manchester United 1. I'm joined by Stephen Howson. That felt almost like the Brentford game, didn't it?
Yeah.
Any more? What went wrong there?
I just done my own review and I was talking about, I thought Donny was poor, I thought Marcus was poor. Didn't actually touch on that in there. Wasn't for any particular reason, just forgot. Garnacho was pretty poor, to be honest. You know, I thought his touches was a bit off. Donny and Ronaldo were the title that I went with, but ultimately, not really sure who had a good game. It was a collective shitting of the bed, I think. And ultimately, you're like, all right, okay, so your forwards didn't do much. It's been a story of the season. But the defence fell apart today. And the defence has been literally flawless for like 11 hours or something in the league. No open play goals. Well, that changed. And it wasn't like Villa were good. They scored good goals, and I'm not going to take the goals away from them, obviously, but they weren't like amazing. They sort of got their goals, and then it's Emery in the dugout, so you know exactly how this film goes. And they were 5-4-1 at the end, just like, yeah, get through that, lads.
Yeah. And then just there's a few things we'll go over, but just talking about the end there, it felt like last 15 minutes you expect United to go for it and sort of turn the pressure up, hold the ball, create chances. It felt like Villa had most of the ball, certainly in stoppage time. United had sort of, I wouldn't say given up, but the game had gone a lot earlier than I sort of thought it would. Were you surprised that United didn't really ever have that chance creating pressure that we've seen over the last few weeks?
Yeah, it was a bit damp, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I sort of tossed it up in the review a little bit, and there's probably something in it. I'm not going to blame tiredness alone, but is it a factor? Yeah, probably. You know, you've got a team there with a new manager. They've worked with him all week. He's had him G'd up to come and play United. He's had Mings by both ears and been telling him, you're going to smash Ronaldo today. And I think sometimes perhaps they were way more prepared for us than we were for them. And the last 10, 15 minutes when they're in control and they don't need to exert themselves, and we really do, we just didn't have it in the tank. And they're feeding. I mean, the atmosphere was incredible. On the back of the early goal, everyone getting behind the new manager. I just think it's another opportunity to highlight how shit a manager Steven Gerrard clearly was.
Yeah, what he was doing with this team was a disgrace.
Almost criminal, Joe.
Go on. It was, actually. We should look into that. We should really look into that. United's front three, I know you said that there are other problems, and there definitely were other problems. Leon Bailey running through our defence was, after 10 minutes, was certainly a problem. But it feels like Ronaldo in particular, who, for me, of all of those players, has the most, or the sort of the biggest shoulders to lay blame on because of the stature of him, because of the wages he's on, because of who he is. You're looking to him in these sorts of games to do something for you. It seems to me that he's got, on current form, if nothing else, and I'm not, who knows if he'll go on and get 30 goals next season for Lyon or PSG or whatever it is. At current form,
where did you pull that from?
They're a Champions League team who might have him, is where I pulled that from. But on current form, he's got almost nothing to offer this team at the moment. Am I being too harsh there? His build-up play is almost non-existent. He just comes up and does a 1-2 with whoever's got the ball. He's not winning balls in the air. His finishing's not reliable. He can't win the ball off the defenders. He can't turn a man. He can't pull away from players physically or with his speed anymore. What is he bringing to this United team except difficulties?
Do you know what? Because of how simple this answer is, it doesn't feel like it can be the truth, or at least not the whole truth. But if you throw your mind back to last season and just use Marcus Rashford as an example, Marcus Rashford didn't get a pre-season. He went from the Euros to get his shoulder sorted, came in through the season, and was objectively shit, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
And it was like, I can't understand why you're so bad. You can't go past the man. Not only can you not go past the man, but there's seemingly no desire to go past the man. There's seemingly no desire to press. All of these things are missing from what I thought you got on the tin with Marcus Rashford. You always got to play that press. You always got to play like give a shit. And even if he's not got Ronaldinho level dribbling to beat a man, he's going to try to do that. Whereas last season, it looked like he'd read a book on how to play football but never been shown it. It was insane.
Yeah.
And Ronaldo's not quite dropped as bad as Marcus was last year. But the only thing that I can rack my brain with, obviously there's had some things going on in his personal life, but the pre-season thing, especially for a player that's 37, has to be huge. And I know he looks after himself, and I know he wasn't, smashing lagers and doing cheeseburgers. But the pre-season, one, in terms of knowing the shape, but two, in terms of being physically prepared for Premier League football in your 37th year. I think when you look at, Messi last season looked human for a few months. Like, every single player that you know of that's missed a pre-season has a bit of a weird hangover from it. Players that Jesse Lingard never recovered from the Euros, and the impact that it had on his pre-season. Arguably, he had a good 4 month at West Ham, okay, but realistically, in a United shirt, he never came back from Russia.
No,
it was 2018. Like, he went there and was literally one of England's best players, and then stayed there. Like, there's players that have been the tiredness has got to be. It starts to play into your decision-making, and I don't think it's just a pure tired thing. But I think there was a bit of a collective tiredness about the lads today. Obviously, we've been a very high-stress game midweek where we didn't quite get the result we wanted. And like we said the other day, we won, so I should be happy, but I'm not. And now just rack that round your head. Just a bit of a... And I think Ronaldo's... I think he don't want to be here, and I think that's abundantly clear. And I think because he doesn't want to be here, that's took 2-3% out of his game. And even though he is arguably the greatest of all time, 2 or 3% off your game can still have a big impact on your game. And if he's got even a little bit more out of his game missing because of the no pre-season, it starts to show up him putting out like solid 4 and 5 out of 10 performances like he has this season.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about the pre-season thing, because I was chatting to my dad the other day, and he brought that up. He said the only thing that can explain that he's done differently, that's made him go from being our top goal scorer, albeit slightly greedy and things have to go through him, but prolific nonetheless, to being non-existent almost, is that pre-season. How much difference does it make? And like you said, when you look at Rashford last season, and plenty of other players as well, Shaw and Maguire, these people who did the Euros instead of the World Cup. Sorry,
a mad injury. Players that have come back from big injuries, takes them a long time, even once they're back in the team, to sort of get going again. And I think that we've all done a pre-season, do a bit of fucking running and some press-ups, right? Yeah, sound. How's that making such a difference? But I think the level of pre-season, and especially the amount of sports science and stuff like that. I mean, Rio's spoken about it, how they're constantly monitoring your heart rates, they're constantly monitoring the exertion that you put in, and he finished 10 years ago. Yeah. So can you imagine the level of detail that it's gone to now? When you're hitting the red zone 2-3 days in advance, he said you would have the sports scientists on the side of the pitch and they'd tell the manager, Rio's done. He goes, and then you get told to come off and you're like, what are you on about? I'm fine. And they'd be like, no, the machine says you're done. So you're like, I don't think we could possibly fathom quite how truly fit a top, European level Premier League footballer genuinely is. The recovery on them must be exceptional. Yeah. It's not necessarily, can he bench 200 kg? Probably not. Yeah. Can he run as fast as Canoe? No, probably not. But the ability to do, high level endurance coupled with high level sprinting, coupled with high level recovery, and the agility, and then the skill factors on top of that, and the pressure and the mental fatigue that has to be, in existence by being a top flight footballer. You've got to be a pretty resilient individual to withstand those sorts of things. Yeah,
definitely. Just on that, sorry, go on.
Just a little bit out of sync.
Yeah. Well, Ten Hag did say I've got the quote here, before the Ammonia game, talking about Ronaldo, he said he's getting in better shape now. This was only the 12th of October, so what, 3 weeks ago. He's getting in better shape now, and I'm happy with that, so he can contribute more to the squad, and I'm sure he will do. It's proven once again no one can miss pre-season. So he obviously, they're looking at the data, they're looking at everything around Ronaldo, and Ten Hag is blaming certainly a portion of his form on pre-season. Were you surprised a little bit at sort of Lindelof and Martinez looking a bit shaky and a bit flaky today by theirs, especially Martinez, by his usually sort of impeccable standards? Bailey got by him a couple of times. It felt a bit of a tricky game for them two today, didn't it?
Really? I thought he was looking to be on the pitch at times today because he was getting a bit close to the, you might find yourself with a red card here, my mate, which would be good for us. Obviously, that would be pretty catastrophic. I mean, again, you don't know what sort of stress the players are going into. And again, people are going to say this is an excuse. Not an excuse. I'm fucking devastated, especially with everyone around us picking up decent results today and Arsenal fucking winning again. And, Liverpool are probably going to catch ground on us the way it looks like it's going there at the moment. Like, I'm well pissed off. But us just sitting here ranting does nothing. I mean, us sitting here discussing it and finding the perfect solution does nothing because no one's going to listen to us. But at least, like, we're exploring the potential actual reasons that there could be an issue rather than just going, he shit, fuck him off. Because that's not productive, I don't think. And it's not enjoyable. And I don't think it's entertaining either, to be honest with you. Or some people might find it entertaining, but it's not for me. But I think looking into some of the factors of it, like, what if Martinez, for example, is flapping about the World Cup? I don't think he's the most secure player in the Argentinian squad. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But, like, I think this is his first World Cup, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So what if he's shitting himself about going to the World Cup? And whether he gets into the squad or not. That could have an impact on his performance this weekend, next weekend. You don't know. You don't know what factors are going in. It's the only, like, I got a chance to play with Messi at a World Cup, and it's probably the last opportunity I'm going to get for that. Does that affect him going into a 50-50? You'd like to think not, but you don't know.
Yeah.
I thought the distances between some of the players today were a bit off, and it's the low was a little bit off his game. That is, he's been really solid this season, but I thought he was a little bit wayward. I think you just hit a team that physically was in a different world to United today, and it showed. We were leggy. Have to get on the inhalers and that.
I know, yeah, maybe. Speaking of, Liverpool are winning against Tottenham, as you mentioned before.
Right. Just a total coincidence that they're winning, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It just
they were only mentioned
as
a mere coincidence and not in a shoe in anyway that they may or may not take asthma for medication.
No, that was a completely separate point I was making there. Just letting you know that inhalers and Liverpool are inhaling Tottenham. I don't know. Right, thank you, Steve.
2-0, they just scored.
There you go, 2-0 to Liverpool. I'm sure that's not going to get turned over. Right, thank you very much for joining us, Steve. A poor performance from Manchester United, an uncharacteristically difficult defensive performance from Lindelof and Martinez as well. But just a bad day at the office, that one. The sort of one that we're going to see as we get better over the next couple of seasons.
A couple of months into Ten Hag's first season, you got to expect a spat. You got to expect it to just go tits up one and just him go, today was shit.
Yeah. Right, thank you very much for joining us. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in a bit.